Welcome back to NM Classroom once again. So here we move on to third element, managing risk, understanding people and process. So here still we are understanding people, right? Safety culture. And this unit is how to improve health and safety culture. Unit title is improving health and safety culture. Suppose in an organization you found there is to have very negative safety culture. What are your measures to improve health and safety culture of this total organization? So immediately after you found, followed by your inspection, that the safety culture is very negative, and you go and comment to your top management authority personnel that the safety culture of this organization is completely negative, sir. So it's very difficult to move on. Better to terminate all the 150 staff. Is it possible? The first termination will be to you. So, hey dear friend, we need to think about that, how to improve the measures. Again, I am telling you that these are not limited. I am giving only 5 points, but these 5 points are not limited. As I said in safety culture unit itself, these 5 points are that there should have management, commitment and leadership. That is the first and foremost point, which is very much important. Management, commitment and leadership. And second point, from the worker side, all the workers should be much competent enough, very good enough. And the third point, in between the lines of all organization, we need to improve the communication. Almost all the problems occurred due to wrong communication or bad communication, poor communication or gap of the communication between the lines. So ensure effective communication. And the same as to improve the workers, their own sense of ownership and sense of integrity and their staff morale, we should have a consulting arrangement. So provide proper consultation arrangement to the workforce. And of course why not? We have to give adequate training. If you are ready to provide all these 5 systems in a very systematic and efficient way, in an appropriate manner, definitely you can improve the workplace culture. But still I am telling you that these are not limited. According to the scenario, if the scenario speaks there is no much enough supervision, you can say that provide good supervision. If the scenario does not follow or belongs to good safety policy, of course, you can work on the policy and by which you can improve the safety culture. So that all the positive points will be used as to improve workplace health and safety culture. You got the point clearly, right? So the first point we discuss a bit in detail, management, commitment and leadership. What does it mean? This top management should feel the health and safety system is much important than anything. Human life is more important than anything, even than profit. And they should feel that when they give more security and health and all sufficient measures, the workers' productivity will be improved and thereby profit will improve. By that context, the management should give strong health and safety commitment in order to create health and safety policy, and in order to implement safety policy from senior management to middle managers, and in order to demonstrating visible leadership by checking the workplace routinely or frequently or occasionally itself, at least involving sometimes in day-to-day operations of the middle management, and conducting the safety tours and inspections, and all these concepts will work under management, commitment and leadership. You got the idea? So that how we feel that a management has got strong commitment towards health and safety. How would you feel? Of course, the management, top management is very concerned in order to improve health and safety measures. While you witness to that, you will understand management is very strong in terms of health and safety standards. So we move on to the next point, can be called as the competent workforce. What is meant by competency? Competency in a sense, it's not just talent, it's not just alone skill, it's not just alone experience, it's not just alone abilities, it's about all. Competent means a worker has got sufficient knowledge, sufficient training, sufficient experience, sufficient skills and sufficient all other abilities in order to perform this work safely without risk to help to anyone. So this worker can be called as competent. So we don't need to teach him anything more. He's already aware about everything. So it's very, very easy to train them onto our culture. So that will improve our safety culture. And the third point is effective communication. This is a long, vast area. Communication. What is meant by communication? And how the communication improves safety culture? So what is meant by communication? See, communication is a process. Communication is a process, and as a process for transferring information from a sender to a receiver. So in a communication process, there should have a sender, the one who sent the message, and there should have a receiver, the one who hear the message, listen the message. So there should have a sender and receiver, and there should have an idea in between, exchange of idea. There should have a concept or something to be communicated, right? And when what the sender transfer, when the receiver understood, we could say that it was effective communication. You watch my classes and you don't understand anything, so that means that is not a good communication. But if you understand what I really mean it, then I could say that you understand pretty well. So this is called good communication. So there are basically different ways of communication. We have different broadcasting methods to improve workplace health and safety measures. We always think in the perspective of the workplace on a scenario basis, right? So how do I communicate to you now? I'm communicating with my verbal words, isn't it? Verbal words. These verbal words, these communication by using verbal and words called verbal communication. Verbal communication can be teaching, taking a class, or leading a seminar, or talking, conversation, casual talk, and public announcement, an interview, and all these are telephonic conversation. These all are verbal communication. There are a lot of benefit and disadvantages also, but it's quite easy level of communication, most appropriate, very easy level of communication. So verbal communication, the advantages we could say it's very direct. I can simply speak to the one whom I want to speak. It's quite direct. It's very quick. I don't need to type and I don't need to write and I don't need to think. It's very quick. It's very personal. I can call one out of the 100 one, and I can call them, I can speak to him personally, and I can allow for the exchange that I can understand whether you understood, right? So that is also the benefit of the verbal communication, and we can exchange the views, isn't it? What you can tell your views, you can present your views in a meeting, then I can present my views. So we are exchanging the views. And above all, I have some additional measures can be used, like I can use my body languages, voice tone, and my body gestures, facial expressions. Everything communicates, right? This all will be communicating in a verbal form, isn't it? Even it's our non-verbal, but this is manifesting in a verbal form. So this all are the benefits of verbal communication, but there are a lot of disadvantages too. That when someone speaks, we don't understand anything because they are using very tough nut jargon words, so we cannot understand. We'll have to check in the dictionary, right? And we have accent problems. So accent issue, then the people speaks in different accents. Even even that the local language carries different accents, then the world language, definitely the accent will be different. So it's quite difficult to understand. And we can say that there is a poor quality of hearing if there is any quality hearing issues over telephone or range issues. And poor hearing will be the problem. The one who listen, he's got poor hearing. That also will be a problem. Then there is a language barrier, of course. If the language barrier exits, the communication will not be fine. And the recipient may miss the information. He might miss the information. Okay, some points have been missed. That will happen. And the most important issue is there is no evidence. There is no written record. There is no written record. And they may forget the information. They may forget the information. And if there is background noise, we cannot hear the communication. What I'm thinking about, what I'm telling you that, it's when we are thinking about a particular point of view that we are thinking from a whole broad spectrum. So that is why we could identify these much disadvantages. Last one NIBOSH examination have asked that how this verbal communication on the scenario based, how this verbal communication could be improved based on the scenario. So we can write that they could communicate in this way, they could communicate in that way, that if so the recipient may not miss the information. Likewise, we'll have to think. NIBOSH will never ask you that what are the benefits of verbal communication. It's quite easy, then you can take the textbook and write it. No. They'll be asking from a scenario point of view. So before that, we should have that conceptual understanding. That's all. Then we move on to the next communication, written communication. What is meant by written communication? Yeah, by using words, by using written words. What are the examples? Of course, that we send WhatsApp messages, right? We send memos and emails, and we give instructions, operating instructions on a paper. We can give the that worker handbook based on all our safety measures in the organization. We can put up the posters. We can create short videos, and we can use some films and videos. We can use different forms of memos and emails, notice boards, and all these can be called as the written communication. The posters and videos are not written communications, graphical communication. So the written communication, the advantage is it's very permanent record, and with empirical evidence, no one can deny, because it is been signed and also countersigned, so that it's a permanent record. And we can refer back in future also, and it can be used to distribute wide audience in a cheap cost maybe. Okay, so these all are the benefits of the written communication. And also we can thoroughly think, and we could avoid the jargons. If you truly want, you can avoid the jargons, because you get enough time to write. But the disadvantages, of course, we know that it's not that much easy as verbal. We need to take time to write, and still there is having some jargons, and maybe the one who read cannot understand, the reader may not understand. And if the reader wants to ask a question, can he ask? No. If it was verbal, he could have asked immediately, but he should, reply back, and it will take time. Questions cannot be asked. Feedbacking system is not possible. Okay, so these all are some difficulties or disadvantages, limitations of written communication. Moving to the graphic communication, we use the pictures, pictograms, visuals of good. Always the visual communication, graphic communication is always very visual. Since it's visual, it's very eye-catching also. And so it covers large audience, and there is no language barrier. It is the universal language. Picture is a universal language, right? But the problem is that it's quite expensive to put up. It's a big board and big, big wall pictures. It's very difficult. And they may not be look at it. The people, it's not compulsory that they will be looking at it. No. And some symbols may be unknown to the audience, so that also will be very difficult. We cannot communicate in a big messages. No. We can communicate in the picture only, so we cannot communicate it like an essay type question. So graphical communication. And these are the various ways of communication can be used in order to improve health and safety culture in the organization. You got the point? And we can use all these communication as the broadcasting methods. How do you broadcasting all these communication methods to workers in order to improve health and safety? You got the idea how we use all this communication. We can use all this communication in forms of notice board, toolbox talks, posters and videos, films and video, posters, films and video, digital media, intranet system, memos and emails, and we can use all these communication methods in these forms in workplace. We all know that we communicate verbally, written, graphic. But how these information are used in the workplace, that is what I am telling, that we use it in posters and videos. What is meant by posters? We can put up the posters on this event is occurring on 14th of this month, and we can reinforce the key messages and all. That will be more attractive. So that is one of the biggest, better that there is an awareness session on fire emergency on this date. So you can put up these posters and you can send it to different people. So that will be one of the best idea. Then we can use notice board. Notice board can be the most important and relevant board which you can be seen in any workplace, which should be located in very centrally, and very updated, current, relevant information should be displayed in the notice board. Unless otherwise the notice board is a waste. It's quite worst. So we can put up that the last sickness and last accidents details and employees liability insurance and fire emergency. You can put up the most important issues into the notice board. You can make it more layout and very colorful, very catchy. Okay, then we can use workers' handbooks. You know, workers' handbooks. What is mean by workers' handbook? When a worker joins to the organization, we give a handbook about all related to health and safety matters in the workplace. So they'll be easily understanding, okay, where I should get the first aid and where I should go for the welfare, and what about the site rules, what are the safe movement of the workplace, and what are the safe working methods of this particular machinery on my work. So that workers' handbook can be given, right? And we can give, we can use digital media, you know, mobile phones and internet, computers, and all other digital devices and medias can be used. And intranet system, intranet in a sense, in an organization itself, the whole system will be networking and is connected to each other. So that delivering the message from one system to another is quite easy. We can use emails, you know, sending emails for very specific information, when we can send them memos also. Then we can give toolbox talks. That is much important, much relevant. Toolbox talks is that just before the start of a shift or work, that the supervisor, safety supervisor, is once again just get aware about the upcoming work, about the hazards, risk and control measures and consequences once again. So they'll be getting enough idea about that, how serious this work it is. So that is called toolbox talks, is a briefing about the work just at the beginning of the shift. So this toolbox talks, and we can use many other methods. These all can be called broadcasting methods. So in short, what I'm telling, that everything comes under one title. That title is called communication. Communication. So now I've given you 3 points. That the first one is management, commitment and leadership. Second one is competent workforce, and third one is effective communication. I'm going to give the fourth point is consultation. Consultation with the workforce. What is mean by consultation? What is mean by informing? Informing means, okay, you have been informed to do a specific task where you don't have anything to reply back. You are authorized to do it. You don't have any other option. But consulting means on a phone, on a telephone call, you have been asked that what is your opinion about it. So you can start express your own choices. Then based on that, mutual course of action will be selected. This is called consulting. So consulting is always a two-way exchange of information, right? Informing is just one way, only one-sided communication. Always consultation is always more productive and effective than informing. Why? Because when the workers are being consulted with the management team, they will feel a sense of proud. Oh, this management have consulted and they've considered my opinion, right? So they will also have a sense of ownership to the company. Once the employee starts feel that I am the owner of the company, that the company steadfast grow, there is no doubt. So as a management point of view, we should make them feel that this is our own company. So then they'll start working for not only for themselves but also for ourselves. So consulting is the best method to improve workers' health and safety culture. So consultation is a two-way exchange of information where they have their own opinions and the employer or management thoroughly listen and taking the necessary actions and informing them. That's great. The consultation can be two types. If it's very small workplace, so it's very few number of workers, we can go for direct consultation. The owner can consult with everyone individually or group. But if it's a large company, it's not possible to consult with all the workers. So we will be selecting some worker representative from among the workers itself. So these worker representative will attend the meeting of safety committee meetings. In the safety committee meeting, they'll have the people from the management side as well as worker side. And they'll be discussing new issues that in order to develop health and safety measures. And the worker representative, open-heartedly, they can express their own viewpoints from the perspective of the workers. So based on that, the best course of action will be selected. And this worker representative will be informing to all the workers. And these all workers will start behaving good. So how a safety committee meeting and what are the points to be considered? Of course that what is the meeting for? What is the safety committee for? How often the committee meet up, and who is chairing the meeting, and who is writing the minutes of that, how the meeting gonna recorded, and how these meeting actions can be followed up, right? So how often and how frequently the meetup will happen, and what is the meeting for, and all this, once everything's gonna set, then it will be a very effective safety committee meeting, isn't it? So in order to develop a safety committee meeting very effective, that will have to inform, we should do in a very systematic way. Otherwise there is no much use. So consulting and informing, consulting and cooperation of workforce is the most important in order to improve staff morale and health and safety culture, right? And if so, then let us move to the last topic, that is called training. So management commitment and leadership, competent workforce, effective communication, and consulting and cooperation. Last point is training. What is meant by training? Training is the formal process it's a planned process of acquiring knowledge, gaining knowledge, and practicing the gained skills in a relatively safer environment. So training is most important when the worker or the workforce doesn't have any idea about how to perform the work effectively and safely. So how do we get to know that? What are the areas required to have training? That is very important. We can give the training to any department, any area. We can give the training to work at height. We can give the training to performing live electrical operations. We can give the training to confined space. We can give the excavation underground utilities. Okay, fine. But how do we know that? Which area needed training? So we should know that where we are and where we want to be. Our current status with our desired status, they will have a gap for sure. So there we already set a benchmark, and out of this benchmark, which area carries more gap. Based on the gap, we need to fill this gap in order to achieve the desired condition. So when we observe in the workplace, we found there are 10 different work related activities. We are in transportation, we are in work at height, we are in construction, we are in excavation, we are in different areas, we are in chemical. So whatever we identified or we spotted this area particularly creating more accidents. So this area, the gap is so high. So we should put our time, energy and money into this particular area, and we train the people over there and we make them competent. The ultimate aim of training is competency. So developing competency as a part of it, so that the workforce will start developing big and better ways. So in short, once we do this kind of training, that everything, all the effort will be fulfilled. Otherwise, if we identify the training spot wrongly, our time, our energy, our money and all things will be wasted. So it shouldn't happen. So training opportunities, we could say basically whoever should get trained. Basically the first thing is that new employees, all the new employees should be trained well by induction training, new employee induction training. And the second method of training, we need to give the training when we start implementing a new technology rather old technology. And we should give the training based on new legislation, then a new law, then a law has been changed, the past law has been changed, new legislation. We have to give training when the job changed by our worker to our another segment. And the process changed when the job has not been changed, but the way of doing is changed, the process changed. So understand, we are giving the training based on the hazards and risk. Here, the first point is based on a new employee joined. As a part of induction training, when a new employee joins to the organization, he doesn't have any idea about the workplace. He's not familiar with the workplace, isn't it? He comes as a new person, and he's meet with a lot of strangers. He sees different cultures, and he will be he could be in a very panic state. So, but we have to get rid of all this internal status, and he should get to know that what is his role. So, for which we have to give many contents in his induction training, like we should introduce him our health and safety policy, and we should give information about PPE, the storage of the PPE, the wearing of the PPE, the welfare facilities, the system and procedures, like how we develop safe working methods, how we develop emergency procedure, how we develop first aid arrangements, how we develop the high risk activities controlled by permit to work, where are the areas that you can safely move, where are the prohibited area where you should not be there, safe movement around the workplace, got it, and health surveillance, and all these activities what he frequently approached to have. So this is called how he gonna reporting an accident if in case of an accident, and how we carry out the performance, how we carry out the operations in accident, internal incident record and accident investigation. So legal formalities, and once he get all be familiarized with, okay, now he is into the pool, he get aligned and merged with the existing workforce. That is the aim of induction training. So new employee induction training, this is called as new employee worker induction training. Then let's move on to the second point, new technology. When the technology changed, why we should give training? Because the hazards and risk of all technology is completely different to the new technology. So the accident chances are completely different. So we should give the training. The mass introduction of display screen equipment and computers in 1990s have replaced the manual work, really. So that we have given the training about the computer and application, the knowledge, the technology, and now the new system has been developed. Most of this in that even the computers are integrated with artificial intelligence. So the technology is again moving into an advanced stage each and every day. So we should get trained. And then next is new legislation, and law has been changed. So based on the changed law, their health and safety requirement will be changed. So if we follow the old law, maybe we'll be violating the new law. So he'll be start to have enforcement action. So we should get aware about it, right? Then the job change. What is mean by job change? The worker who change his job. So all the job hazards and risks are completely different from his new job. Suppose he's working as an healthcare industry where he's working in a hospital. Okay, then he's moving into care home, to the homes. So okay, so his work hazards are different from hospital to care home, because in hospital he's working among the people and his colleagues, but in care home he's alone. So he should get the training on alone working, right? How he should work on as an alone. So what are the things he should get aware about when he was at alone. And we can say process change, of course, the way and the layout of the work's been changed, then we should give the training. So in short, there are a lot of advantages to the workers, because they'll be clearly knowing that hazards and risk of the workplace and a particular work and the consequences and control measures of their work, and they can clearly give the feedback to the system. And there are much more that they don't need to face any enforcement related issues. They'll be very free from the accidents, and their staff morals will be improved. They'll feel a sense of confidence and competency. So these all are the advantages of the training. So training is also a very essential part. So hey dear friend, it's quite simple. It's not that much what I'm telling about. It's quite simple, yeah. That thing is that we are learning improving safety culture. How can we improve safety culture? That is the problem. That is the question. So I just gave you 5 points, right? Effective that management, commitment and leadership, competent workers, effective communication, cooperation and consultation, and training. Only 5 points. But what I'm telling, that's not 5 points. That's 500 points. When you look on to the scenario, that you find that okay, based on the scenario they are applying all these measures, so these are the positives, so this can be used as improving safety culture. And when you read out the scenario, you found very negative points, and you can say if you correct all these negative points, the safety culture would be improved. That's all. That is the basic concept, right? Because it's all about human and the process and the system. So it's all about the behavior, right? So once again, that just go through all these areas and you'll getting the thorough the notes of the particular area. So just glance through it and work on it and develop your own ideas and have good comprehension, and we are moving ahead. Okay, so we see once again. Until then, bye bye. Thank you.